messenger of Allah. Now, Mr. Muhammad is at home, and he's supposed to be on the line in just a few moments, and this means that when you and Mr. Muhammad are connected, we cannot have both parties speaking at the same time. And if you do, then none of us can hear the other, because unfortunately on radio it sounds rather scrambled. Mr. Muhammad has agreed to remain quiet until his questioners have either finished their questions or their statements, and we must insist that the callers do likewise, otherwise we will be forced to disconnect you. Now, we ask that if you have a question for our guest, Mr. Muhammad, to please make it as brief as possible. Also, we must insist that you turn off your radios while you and I are connected. You see, we're on what we call a 6-second delay. Now, this means that what you will be hearing 6 seconds from now is what I'm saying at this instant. Now, this is to prevent any obscenities from going out over the air. Have we heard from our guest yet? Well, I hope he's listening, and we'll call that number that we have, let me see. No, nothing yet. We will
thinks that he should receive from those that he gives gifts to. And then furthermore, this makes children come up practicing deceit and falsehood.
I wonder if you could interpret for us the meaning in the Bible, and I understand that you're a student of the Bible, the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God. Now, the reason I'm asking you this, I understand that you say that sometimes that we are not all brothers, that the black man is not the brother to the white man, and I'm wondering how you could reconcile this.
We are not brothers. The Bible, if I would answer according to the way you have asked it, it begins with envy and jealousy between the brother, and finally murder. And it closes in the Revelation with the murder of the brotherhood of man destroyed. And peace, for the first time, is now enjoyed between man and man, after the destruction of the enemy of the brotherhood of man.
Is that also in the Qur'an, the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God?
There is no fatherhood taught in the Holy Qur'an. The brotherhood of the Muslim is taught from the beginning to the end.
I see. You know, speaking of Christmas, a few moments ago, tomorrow morning, at 4 o'clock Chicago time, there'll be a truce called in Vietnam by our forces, and it's being hoped that it'll be also observed by the North Vietnamese. So many people are demonstrating for and against the war in Vietnam. I wonder if you'd tell us your feelings on the war.
If you're asking my feelings about the war, I think this war, or rather I feel right that this war is a war to end wars, and that it will involve every human being on the earth.
How do you mean that? How do you mean?
I mean that before ever that it is ended, or before ever there is declared a victor, that every human being on the earth will be affected by this war that has now started.
Do you think it's a race war?
I think every race will be involved.
But I mean, as it's being thought today, the Vietnamese and the Americans, the 1970, I understand.
I think it's absolutely unnecessarily seems is that it will end with the defeat of those who are now ascending into space. And I think it's just a waste of money.
You do?
Yes. Of course, it brings us into more knowledge of the space. It's opening up, as the Holy Qur'an refers to it, as the opening up of heaven and the secret of the heaven being revealed. And it is referred to again as the climbing up to the heavens there to steal the secret of the heavens in the Quran. And again, it is said that if they would do these things, they will find a flame waiting for them. So the book also, we call Bible, refers to a flame destroying those who would ascend up into the heaven and try to encamp the holy city. And that God caused fire to come down and destroy them all. This is real, this is real possible because so many dots that we look up there in the sky shining, there's nothing in the world but bones of us.
Incidentally, you were saying heaven. Is this where you say what heaven is? God's up there. This is where we go to heaven?
Refers to the open space that is filled with the stars.
I see. Do you believe in extrasensory perception? I understand that the Russians are trying to, it's possible rather, that they're trying to develop this as a means to communicate between themselves and the astronauts. And I'm asking you this because I remember there was a woman, Jean Dixon, who has written a book called A Gift of Prophecy, and it predicts many of the things which I understand you've been discussing for over 30 years.
This thing about what they have done, you're still in space. These two people, Russia and the white American or the European Caucasian people, they are absolutely on the same line. And that one is probably fearing the other of advancing more into the knowledge of getting some kind of a position into space that indicates that if the current destruction of the earth or the people of the earth, that they will be in a position to fight back from space. Those who are fighting in destroying the earth. And that there may be a possible chance of their survival after the destruction of the human people or race on the earth. Because of the display of the powers, the Bible calls it the powers of heaven, which only means the power of the atoms being brought into display. As that is the real power of the heavens and the earth. It is that little secret thing there that we call atom that we cannot see its little power only under some microscope.
You know, and I was also speaking about her book, Jean Dixon, Gift of Prophecy. She predicts many things I understand that you've been discussing.
I don't call her a woman that is gift of prophecy. When we refer of a person gift of prophecy, we are referring to a person that is not divinely inspired or guided. But when a person refers to their knowledge or their guesswork and see by looking in a crystal ball, we call these people false. And astrologers and all like that using the guesswork.
And I understand that you have proposed an economic plan for black Americans. I want you to explain that to us very briefly.
I said this, as probably you have read it, Mr. South, on the last page of paper, the Muhammad Speak, I do believe that if we would unite and try and conserve some of our earnings, if it's nothing but a nickel a day for 5 days a week, just 25 cents a week, if that means $1 a month for us to go and put over here in the savings for the 22 million of our people or more here, each and every man that earns a nickel a dime, he should try to give a nickel, if possible, to a savings plan to try to fight against poverty and want that the so-called American Negro suffers more than any people on earth. He wastes his wealth into that which does not bring him no benefit whatsoever whenever that he's out of a job. He brings his check in and he drinks it up and he throws it away and finds the luxury that he could do without. And here we faces always the problem of getting into the break line of suffer. With his last, but maybe the first one fried, last one hard and the first one fried, I should get it right. So since we knew these things, why should we unite and try and save our stuff? This runs up into millions of dollars in 1 year. Just that which we are throwing away. If we would sacrifice a cigar, sacrifice that glass of beer, sacrifice that drink of whiskey over there, that we can do without, and put that money into a bank to try to protect the sufferings of our own people here. Help build houses for them. Help raise food for them on the farm. To get some of this good earth, rent it or either buy from the white people. If they are not good and kind enough to give us a place, as we read it, is justified in asking them to give us the ground. Go and raise us our own food. Go there and raise our own elements for their hide and for their hair, and their flesh for our meat, like other nations are done. We, Mr. South, are a people here numbering into the million, tens of millions. Now we're in the 30s. We're getting into that million. We're now in such number that we should try to get away from being babies and thinking that the white man should provide everything for us, and then if we don't get him to provide it for us, we go and lay down at his door and beg him to do so, and then charge him with absolutely mistreating us for not giving it to us. This, I think we're a little wrong in going that far. I think we should use our education today to build up an economic system among our own selves. And this is the number one thing to start with, saving something out of that which we are in.
Listen, you were speaking about economics. Have you had any training whatsoever in economics?
I noticed, Mr. South, I will answer you like this, that there was never anything like a reformer or a government that had built up from scratch, having trained men at the start from some other source of educational training. They got experience by actually going into the thing themselves from actual work. on the last page of our paper, then we have no rights or have no need to talk on whether he had any previous healing or not. That would be like the Israelite wanted to question Moses whether he had a scripture before the Ten Commandments.
I wonder if you could tell us what makes you think that this idea of yours, this economic plan, would work?
Because that it is too clear. We know that if we save part of our money out of our check this week, we have some to take us over next week. And we don't have to wait next week until we make another check.
How would this plan work here in Chicago? I mean, locally, this is
It will work here. We can take right here on the south side, where there is near 1 million people of our kind. Say, for instance, that if we would take and try, save 25 cents a week, $1 a week, whatever we could save, and take it and build up business and build up homes for our people here, instead of them waiting for the government to build them up to pay a high rent for that same little small room there that you can hardly get in and out. We could do these things ourselves if we were just intelligent enough to unite and try and do something for ourselves instead of having the white man to come from the north side or come up on the south side and build up all of our business for us, and then he take all the profit back on the north side and live like a king. I do think it's easy for us to just stimulate and try and take this plan, put it up in a bank until we have a few $1 million, and that would be overnight. We would soon have that. You know, building up business on the south for ourselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Hotline. Wesly South is your host. Our guest tonight is Mr. Elijah Muhammad. Our telephone number is 847-2602. Getting back to you, Mr. Muhammad, you know, a few moments ago you were talking about Negroes buying, they just quit buying so much whiskey and beer. Why do you think such a large percentage of the alcohol beverages that are sold here in Chicago is sold within the Negro community?
Yes, I do say this, that the white man has learned that he can reap a harvest off from the black man of the South who loves to drink whiskey and beer of their making, and that they have reaped a great profit off of people being so ignorant to cash their paychecks into taverns. And therefore, it keeps spreading. And the ignorance of our people keep going to do these things. And I do think that it's nothing but right that myself and you or any other sane-thinking man should put a stop to this robbery of hard-earned earnings of our people and conserve them for the better of our people's future.
You know, let's get to another subject now, and that is civil rights. You know, since the Little Rock incident back in 1957 when the 9 youngsters tried to get into Central High School, civil rights struggle has been intensified since then. I wonder if you would tell us your views on the civil rights struggle.
Well, civil rights, here, if we understand it, it's mostly for the white man, and it is for the white man. We should first try to get human rights, because civil rights is mostly confined to the country where you live, and that we cannot, by no means, ever be given the same equal rights as white people, and while they're on the country, while they make their own laws for the country, for us to obey, and in fact about it, they are the complete boss or the power of the country. We are nothing in the world but people that have come up from slave parents, and would have to be divided up between us and make us a standard, make us, I say, a state that is in the earth and not something above the earth. This talk of civil rights is something like, we say, a parasite flying above the surface and have not anywhere to land, only on the other man's soil. Therefore, we cannot never say that we have equal rights with white people as long as they own the country.
You know, you are diametrically opposed to the views of Dr. Martin Luther King and Roy Wilkins and other civil rights leaders. And I've often heard it said that you had invited them to come with you, or at least to join up with you, and that you could help them achieve these goals. I wonder if you would explain what you mean by joining up with these groups and these leaders. And also, would you tell us what you think of the leaders?
Yes, I do say that they have the wrong idea to achieve a good future for our people, because that their ideal is based upon begging the white man for a chance to be his equal without going to the base. And therefore, we cannot go up to the top and come to the bottom. We have to go from the bottom to the top. And this thing about begging the white man to make him to accept us as his equals, I don't think that we should do a thing like that. And I don't think that we should look forward to try to force ourselves on them to do these things when the earth is so large and that we are such great number of people. And our people on the planet Earth outnumbers the white man far more than they. We are outnumbering them about nearly 11 to 1.
What do you think about joining in with Dr. Martin Luther King? This is what I was referring to.
I can't join with him on his program. His program would never free us. It would keep us bound to the white man, ruled and subjected to him. I want independence of the white man for my people. I don't think that we, after 400 years here and 100 years up from so-called freedom, I do not think that we should be begging for a place among them to serve them longer. I think we should beg them to get a place somewhere to ourselves. And if we can't get it from them, I think we should turn to our own people and beg them to give us a place among them, where that we can build a future for ourselves and not build up a future for service to other people.
What do you think about civil rights leaders?
I just think that they got the wrong program, as I so said, and that they are leading their people back into slavery instead of freeing them.
You know, some of the civil rights leaders and educators, including Dr. Martin Luther King, have suggested that this country pay for the slave labor of our forefathers. And what do you think about this? Do you think it would affect the economy of this country?
I don't think that this is the step to take. I hope I don't say anything here to make people to think the wrong thing on this question. I don't think that we should be begging the white man to pay us for the slave labor that our forefathers did for them since they were bought from our people from their native land and brought here as property of theirs, and that they used them for their labor. Now, I don't think that this will be the proper thing to demand, but I do say this. I think that they are obligated to give us some kind of send-off that would put us in a position to care for ourselves.
This economy that you're talking about, economy and this new land, don't you think this would affect the economy of the United States?
No.
And listen, I'm going to let you think about that. We've come to the half-hour mark, and I'm going to stop here for station identification. Ladies and gentlemen, Wesly South is your host. Our guest tonight is the leader of the Muslims in the United States, Mr. Elijah Muhammad. Our telephone number is 847-2602, and we'll be back immediately after this call.
You're listening to WVOM.
If the government would be kind enough to give to us our territories here in this country, and would help us with the necessity for the next 20 or 25 years, that which we are not able to produce. They help us with it. They give it to us until we are able to produce that necessity of life for ourselves on the soil that they have given to us. And I do believe within a quarter of a century, we would absolutely be able to supply everything of our need. I don't think that the government would have to supply us hardly anything if we are given such a chance. Even in the first few years, I do think there's much that we would be, supplying for ourselves. We can do it if the earth is as it is, where that they are already growing their own needs. So, what I mean, such as food and building for themselves shelters from the wood.
In other words, it would be the entire economy would be provided in this area that you're referring to, this area that would be put aside for the black people.
Pardon me?
I said this would be all, this economy would be directly in this area that would be put aside for the black people.
That's right.
And they could be self-producing.
That's right.
Listen, getting back to these leaders, have you gotten together with any of these leaders like Whitney Young, Roy Wilkins, Dr. King, or any of our local leaders?
Not any of them. Not one of them that you are referring to as top leaders. They are top leaders. They have not given me a chance at them. I have invited them, but they seem to scorn anything like a talk with me.
You know, I understand, and I have read where people from all over the world come to Chicago to meet with you, and I wonder if you have any idea why any of these other leaders, the ones we're just referring to, have not called on you.
Well, it is true that leaders, scientists, scholars and scientists have and still visit me from every part of the earth. Every civilized nation, I have met some of their leaders. And these here, I don't know, I just have to say that they a little proud of themselves, and they don't get in talk with me.
I see. You know, while we're still on controversy, I wonder if you'd tell us what your position is on Dr. Willis and the school issue here in Chicago.
Well, I doesn't care to have anything to do with that, Mr. South, at all.
I see. You know, last August out in Los Angeles, during the incidents out in Watts, I read where one of your mosques, police went in, and I think you reported where there were more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition was shot into it, and 59 of your followers were arrested. And then the Courier we had off last week, I had a story that came off of the wire that you had just defended these people, and all of them got off. Then I read last Friday another one of your mosques in Newark, New Jersey had been raided by the police. Do you think that the police are by any chance picking on you?
Well, I cannot say they are not, but it's clear that they are. These people, the police department, as you may find that on the last page of page Islam is a religion that the white man does not care for, especially for the Negroes, though they have an organization here that they practice and teaches it in secrecy. But for us, they never wanted the Negro to teaching Islam is a religion that the white man does not care for, especially for the Negroes, though they have an organization here that they practice and teaches it in secrecy. But for us, they never wanted the Negro to accept Islam because Islam means freedom of the Negro. And therefore, they are attacking temples and trying to destroy them. Shows just the nature of these people. They have such evil and hatred nature of the black man ever doing anything for himself, especially the Negro. The so-called Negro, the white man here, have never wanted him recognized. They don't recognize themselves, and they don't want other people to recognize you. And therefore, this is to try to discourage all of our people from accepting Islam.
So they shoot up your mouth.
The brother of their people. And therefore, brotherhood with the nation of Islam means power to the so-called Negro. And I'm not surprised at them attacking us. I would be surprised if they wasn't attacking us, because they know what Islam means. Islam means the freedom of the 22 million people here, and well, I must say it means the destruction of the white race.
Have you had any trouble with Chicago police?
I have lived right here for 33 years now in Chicago, about 34. And that I have not been bothered too much with the police department here. Here of late, we've been getting along pretty well.
Good. I'm sorry. Incidentally, getting back to the something you said a few moments ago, that you've long advocated that the Negroes should have a state of their own. Do you mean in the United States or on another continent? And when do you think this will come about?
The white man keeps trying to find some chips and whetstones to try to build up some kind of pacification for the so-called Negroes to keep living here. At the same time, these conflicts keep coming between him and the so-called Negro, because the so-called Negro now is too far advanced education to accept this old slavery stuff that he get back in the rear and drag along like Grandpappy and Grandmammy. He's not going to take any more of that. He's too far advanced now, and he will never be the white man's slave as he once was. And therefore, with that advanced education given to the so-called American Negro, makes him to think on the same terms of the white man.
Yeah, no, this is the question I was asking. Did you say that that the Negroes should have the state of their own? Do you mean in the United States or on another continent?
That's what I'm trying to answer. Therefore, he cannot get along with the white man in the same house, because he demands everything that the white man enjoys for himself, he demands it for himself. Now, the only way to do this, it is, since they are two different people by nature, and you have worked them with their fathers for 300 years in servitude slavery, now you say the children is free. Let them go free for themselves, and let them live to themselves, and provide a place for them if you can. As America is large enough to provide a place for the 22 million to themselves. And let the white man give them a push-off to get started. And if he don't do that for them, then I fear that he won't enjoy what he already claims as his now. What I mean by that, he won't have no peace in his country. And now, the way that it is predicted and the way that the course of the nations is moving, I think that it will come about in a few years.
What do you call a few years?
I will say within 5 years.
Incidentally, you know, here in Chicago, there are a lot of people, and many of them, large percentage of them are Negroes, on relief in Chicago. What do you think of this? And what do you think of it as it's being done for the Negro, or as you said, the so-called Negro?
Maybe I did not get your first word there so well.
I said here in Chicago,
The what?
we have a relief program.
Oh, yes.
And I was wondering how you thought about it being.
I don't think that we should subsist on a relief line.
But if they can't work, I mean, if they don't have any jobs.
I think that this program or plan will give us all the work that we want to do. If we are put to work for ourselves. We cannot hope to work for the white man or be employed by the white man when that he has so many of his own kind to try jobs for. And since that they have to give jobs to their own unemployed, and the unemployed will continue to increase, and we should not stand around and wait for the white man to go and make jobs for us with college education, university education. With that type of education, if we would work together, we can create jobs for ourselves.
You know, I would like to know what you think about politics. I remember many of your followers said that they don't vote. And it made me think about quite a few wards on the west side that are for the population is Negro, all Negro, yet they have all white leaders. What do you think of that situation?
Well, I don't think the politics of the white man, as we see it, is the type of politics that we should enter for a future for our people.
What do you think about the condition on the west side where the wards are populated by Negro, but the leaders are all white?
I think in any place, Mr. South, where that we are dominant, I think that we should take care of ourselves in it.
What is your plan or position of your followers in participating in politics in the United States? I mean, how are you going to get these things?
I don't think that we can successfully have anything like clean politics with the white man in the United States of America as long as we're Muslims. Because we did not have it there when that we was Christians.
You know, and
we want clean justice. And we just naturally will not accept corruption in politics for ourselves.
you know, in your recent book, A Message to the Black Man, you condemn sport and play. Yet I read in the paper that one of your well-known followers is a heavyweight boxing champion. Now, how do you reconcile that?
We don't believe in this. We just want to take this as we are in it now, and we have already become the champion. We just want to hold it and show the world how that this could be protected if there was any such thing like, people that wanted to try and have a clean sport and not say a commercialized sport which would endanger the lives of the people and probably, well, as you know, that now in all the sport, here of late, death is becoming more frequent. And therefore, we don't like no such. We just want to show them for a few days, a few years, that if we are there that long, that it can be carried out in a clean and just manner in which that the sport will be enjoyed by those who love it without such thing as death and trying to figured up, well, this is what we want to show them, that it can be carried on without this kind of murdering each other. And you notice the last about that Muhammad Ali.
Many people call him Cassius Clay.
Yeah, they call him that, but that's a slave name.
Yeah.
That is not his name. Muhammad Ali, he has not shown any mark yet in his face, and he has not, brutalized his opponent. And this is the only thing we want to show, and then we bow it out of it. I don't like it myself. No, I don't like no commercializing no human beings just for the fun of it and subject them to death, even this much in it.
You know, you advocate the separation of races, and I'd like if you could explain how you can account that your headquarters is in a integrated community, and you also live in an integrated community. I think living next door to you, there are white people, I know on one side, I don't know about on both sides of you.
Well, it's not on both sides, it's only on the north side that white people live.
Yes.
White people live on the north side of me, and a preacher of my own people live on the south side of me. Now, the thing of this, it was not that I wanted to live in a mixed neighborhood or with white people, but I wanted to show my people that if they would live peaceful and quiet and not be loud and live a clean life and keep their homes clean and themselves clean and not live like a savage in civilization, that they can live anywhere, whether it's in the neighborhood of white people or the neighborhood of any other people or race on there, if they would try to live intelligent and clean and decent and keep their mouth shut and not making their mouth a disturbance. In fact, among the neighborhood, you know, the most thing white people hate Negroes living in their community, it is they are too loud. They always...
Could you be saying that then that the quiet Negroes are loud if they're supposed to be the best people, as you have said?
They are the best people, but still that they are not what they are really now. They are practicing something that is other than themselves. They are righteous, but they are not righteous in the way that they are living, but they actually by nature is righteous.
I see. Listen, how do you propose to eliminate juvenile delinquency among the Negro youth?
Teach the child in the beginning the good things, and don't teach him other than good. Such as, I see Gene sitting over there and his dog said so and so and so, speaking English language, and he makes the bird talking to another bird, and all like that, instead of teaching the child something of truth. We teach our children to understand the Holy Qur'an, the first thing in prayer. We start them off into saying the prayer first, and we start them off again in the reading of Qur'an, and teach them the word of God and the guidance of God from Qur'an. And this gets in the child in his very beginning. And then he goes to school then, he tries to follow what he was taught of good. And he don't try to go to school to start to be a disturber of the peace and a fighter of his brother in the class. You have an example in our schoolhouse here. Our children is taught to love each other, and they better not fight each other. We will certainly chastise them if they are found fighting each other or telling stories. This is the way that we bring them up in our school. We force them.
And you have very little juvenile delinquency.
We don't have it. No. we punish him severely for breaking the law.
You know, many times when you talk, I've heard you say, people ask you, how do you know this? And you always say, well, Allah told me this, or Allah has revealed this to me. How can a person know that Allah has, as you say, has revealed this to you? I mean, anyone could say this, and many people say, well, God
by
told
the work that I'm doing, I could not accomplish no such success if it hadn't not been from God. I do everything from God. All that I'm teaching and all that I'm advising my followers to do, it is from God. I cannot do nothing of myself.
I see. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight is Mr. Elijah Muhammad. Our telephone number is 847-2602. Now, we're going to stop here for another commercial and come back, and we'll go directly to the telephone. We'll be back immediately after. Just a moment. Can you hear Mr. Muhammad? Hear her speak?
Yes, I do. I do.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead now.
Out in the street who are interested in the program his economic program that he has on the back page of his paper, and we'd like to know how is it possible, or is it possible, for him to work with us, cooperate with us, and guide us in this direction without us becoming involved with his official staff.
Would you answer that, Mr. Muhammad? Right ahead. Oh, can you hear? You couldn't hear on the telephone?
I wish that perhaps that last part of it repeated.
Yes. She said, repeat your last part, please.
Oh,
Not the entire part, no, just the last part of it.
Oh, how could we out in the street who want to work on his economic program cooperate with him without becoming involved with his official staff?
Go right ahead, sir.
The official staff is with you to work on this program. You will not be involved on the official staff. The official staff is looking for people to work with them on this program.
Okay, does that answer your question? Okay. Thank you for calling.
You're welcome.
Okay, does that... This is the hotline. Hello?
Mr. South?
Yes.
I would like to speak with Mr. Muhammad.
Go right ahead.
If I remember or heard correctly, was it true that Mr. Muhammad said that he do believe in the Holy Bible?
Do you believe in the Holy Bible?
Yes. Yes, I believe in the Bible, the truth that's in the Bible.
This is not the Qur'an, right?
Been tampered with, and I believe that it must be reinterpreted in order for us to not to be snared with that which was added into it, and such things as symbols which is misunderstood and misinterpreted by the readers of the Bible. I do think that most of the Bible means good if we rightly understand it.
Does that answer your question?
I have one other question I'd like to ask.
Yes.
The reason why I ask this is because I've talked with several Muslims, or I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation.
Muslims, they call them.
Muslims?
Yes.
Well, the reason I ask is because in the Bible and throughout the Bible, it shows that God is not partial. That is, if you believe in the God of the Bible. And if God is impartial, how is it that he can command or issue a message to one of his prophets to teach partiality among the races?
Mr. Muhammad?
Yes. God is not impartial. When it comes to the righteous, God is for the righteous according to the Bible, and he's not for the wicked, and that he don't take and divide equally his mercy with the wicked and for the righteous. And therefore, I cannot say to you that is asking this question, yes, you are right, that God is not impartial. He is impartial. He is for the righteous and not for the wicked.
Did you hear that, ma'am?
Yes, I also remember a scripture in the book of Acts, the 10th chapter, and verse 34, where it says that God is impartial, but every man in every nation that work righteousness is acceptable. So this doesn't single out just one nation. It says every nation. So how do you explain that? What is this?
Who are you trying to refer to?
He said, who are you referring to?
Well, I'm referring to the scripture that's quoted here. It says, he said that
the nation. Who are you referring to?
He said she was referring directly to the scripture.
Oh, did you talk to me?
No, I was talking to Mr. Muhammad.
Excuse me. Because I can't hear his comment, you know.
I have, I think, made it clear there, the wicked and the righteous. God is not for the wicked. He's for the righteous. In the very beginning, in Genesis, there we have two brothers. One fighting the righteous brother and murdering him, and God is against the brother that murdered the righteous. Again, here in the Bible, we find where that he said Esau and Jacob was brothers. But he loved Jacob and hated Esau. These was two brothers. So I do think your Bible, if you read it clearly, that you will find God on the side of the righteous.
And you're saying, Mr. Muhammad, that the black man is a righteous man.
The black man is the righteous man by nature. He was created righteous.
Okay. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Well, yes.
I'll have to go to another call.
Yes, thank you very much.
This is the hotline.
Hello. Mr. South?
Yes, sir.
This is not how you doing?
Yeah, how are you, Mr.
I would like to ask the Honorable Elijah Muhammad a question, please.
Go right ahead, sir.
My question would be this, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I do respect your judgment and still do. May I say that I had the pleasure to enjoy you and thousands of us did, but what bothered us and what stopped us from coming was when the time that this George Lincoln Rockwell spoke at your meeting out here at the amphitheater. We are not educated people, and we didn't exactly understand this. And since we didn't, it wasn't clarified to us. It isn't because that we fell out with you that we stopped coming, but this confused us because we don't take him as to be a offender Negro. This is the question I want to ask you, John Rudolph.
If you would answer that, Mr. Muhammad.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
You have learned since then that the meeting was not to make friends with people that is not friendly with us, but only the freedom to let them express themselves, so that we may know who is who. We are the Muslim that does not condone or does not declare ourselves friends with no one that is not friends of ours. We do know that this people is not our friends, and therefore we only let them express themselves in the public as we was given the freedom to everyone who wanted to visit us at that time. But we don't have nothing in common with those people.
You have nothing in common whatsoever, you're saying.
Thank you.
Okay, good night. This is WVON Cicero. Wesly South here. May we have your question or your comment, please? Hello?
Hello.
No. This is the hotline.
I'd like to, for Muhammad to answer 3 questions for me, please.
I give you one. We got about 80 seconds. Go right ahead.
Well, the first one is he didn't explain exactly about living next door to the white people, and I didn't quite understand, and about Cassius Clay, whatever his name is, he didn't explain that too well either. I'd like for him to explain this again, and about the lady that called, regarding the lady on the phone about the righteous people. Did he state what color God was?
And she asked you, would you state what color God is?
Number one, the color of God is the color of the first people on the earth. And the first people on the earth was black people. And that is the God.
I'll turn off your radio, please, ma'am. Go right ahead. And the next one, your next answer, Mr. Muhammad?
And as far as living in the neighborhood of the white people, I thought I made sense in the neighborhood of that is, be yourself and don't go in that neighborhood trying to be one of them and forcing your presence on them. Stay in your house and be peaceful and quiet in your home and keep your home clean in and out. This is the thing that white people run from the so-called Negro. He is afraid the Negro is so unclean that he will